Welcome to the HITea With Grace podcast, where we spill the tea on HIT. Today, I'm honored to welcome Deepti Sharma, SVP of Product Management at HSBlox, to the pod. Thanks for joining me, Deepti.
Hi, Grace. I'm glad to be here on the podcast today. Excited to talk to the audience and you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we know you've been in the tech industry for more than 25 years and hold the CPC certification from the American Academy of Professional Coders. What first drew you to this field, and how has your perspective on coding evolved throughout your career?
Thank you. It's a very interesting question. So I come from a healthcare background. Back in India, my dad was a practicing physician and dean. So I've always been in the healthcare world. I have a bachelor's and master's in microbiology, and moving to the US gave me an insight on how different code sets that are standard code sets combine patient data and also demographic information that can be standardized and coded to generate revenue for the practice. So that was very fascinating for me, how to avoid errors, how to solve for different combination of codes that would result in a paid claim versus a denied claim. So that is when I wanted to pursue my certification and become a certified professional coder. There are multiple degrees that you can certify in from APC. I chose to be a CPC, and it was a very interesting start in my career.
You are so ridiculously impressive. Oh my goodness. I am thrilled to learn from you today and feel like I should be paying you for your time to have you on this podcast. I know everyone's thinking the same thing. So what do you do at HSBlox now? What do you focus on?
So at HSBlox, we are building solutions. We are competing with companies who are in this field of value-based care. What we do is we have products and platform capabilities to administer the VBC products and programs, which in turn gives flexibility to the end users to have multiple different networks and lines of businesses that you can utilize the platform. So we have a small team. It's a startup company. We have a small team, but it's a really exciting role because you work across multidiscipline teams here at HSBlox, and they all combine together their input, feedback in defining and designing these solutions. So really exciting role here at HSBlox.
Fantastic. Now, I've heard that AI is transforming healthcare at every level, including coding. Now, since you are the coding queen, I have to ask, from your experience, how have you seen AI impact the coding profession? And where do you see the greatest opportunities and risks going forward?
Great question. So I have heard AI being utilized in multiple different fields. From the healthcare coding perspective, I can say that AI will evolve and be a very positive impact. Firstly, because there are a lot of little nuances that we have to capture as a part of the coding exercise to make sure the codes are accurate according to the age of the patient, the gender of the patient. So all those small things that you have to keep in mind, members active, they're with the right pair. So when we look at AI, the end users can actually use AI and the large language models to create these interactions and have documentations that can be tagged as standard data fields. And then AI Scribe can be used to convert voice into text. So you can have tagged documents ready and be transforming them into 837s or claims to be submitted. So these are potential, very impactful, positive AI-generated solutions that can be a part of the coding world. There's also that the providers who are spending so much time documenting their time can be actually utilized to take care of the patients and have better outcomes from patients' health perspective. The risk I see is it's a little premature right now. So in order for you to train the algorithms and have the data sets come available, you have to keep up with constant training models and also have clean data sets for LLM to be productive. And with the industry changes that are constantly happening with different programs and regulations coming on board, you have to make sure that you can keep up with those changes through the AI.
Absolutely. And as somebody who's building this technology, how do you balance that ambition to create the most powerful, cutting edge tools in the world with practical realities of commercialization, adoption, change management, and just regulatory changes on every corner?
Great question again, Grace. So this is, in fact, a very exciting field. And while designing and defining the solutions, I really enjoy the most where I can put in my first step. So as people are talking through what they need, like it can come from a client request that we need a modification in your solution, a change, or we need a completely new design. We start with the ideation process. So what is the idea behind solving this problem? So this is the problem, and we need to come up with a solution that can tackle this. We start with a lot of whiteboard sessions. So the teams come across multiple teams. It can be strategy, product, finance, technology team, marketing, and sales. So from ground up, we understand what we're trying to build and why. So I feel that is the core where we focus on. As we are spending this time to design, we keep into mind that the client is asking for something or the market demands something, but it should not be just limited to that demand. It should be an overall view where the market can actually go tomorrow and have another line of business onboarded without minimum to no changes. So the focus of the company, the team, and us is we design and define solutions that can actually keep up with the current trend, as well as be open to have more growth for the different entities and stakeholders for a commercial success.
Absolutely. And how do you get from like that strategy to that just like develop the product? You're taking these products from a spark of an idea, right, based on what you're seeing in the market to commercialization, right? What is that process like in translating those innovations into something that's viable and market ready and available?
So we take idea to whiteboard. So throughout the company, you'll see every room has multiple whiteboards. So
I'm love that.
I'm really big on laying out what I'm envisioning. So I start with the data flow diagrams. This is the persona. So for me, it's a process of understanding persona to product. Who are the 3, 4, 1, 2 personas who will be using the system or who will be interacting with the system? Are they really sophisticated user? Are they simple users of the solution? Because that gives you visibility into breaking it down to the level of translation where you can help the team understand that the end users we're talking about are the front office users who are running eligibility, for example, when you walk in a doctor's office. Or they can be a finance user who's running performance reporting. So they are sophisticated. They can have different combinations of data sets that they're looking for and the trends to display the data and output. So for me, understanding the persona, laying out on the whiteboard that these different personas and users of the system will be interacting at this level. We create the data flow diagrams. We convert that to a HDL document, a high-level document, where the teams then provide input to say, yes, we're talking about these 3 features, but in these 3 features, can we also have this addition that will help the future need, for example? So there are different wireframes, prototypes, and early visibility into how that vision looks like. So we can make modifications and changes, and then followed by the SDLC process flow. So we have a complete SDLC process that we follow after that design session is completed, which then turns into an agile workflow for quick turnaround. So we have different feature releases as we go, end users that come in for verification. So they test the system and they say, yes, it works for me. I don't understand this. Where do I click here? So it helps us. It's a continuous cycle of evolving from an idea to a product. And our main goal is the end users of the systems who are actually going to be interacting will be able to understand and see the value of solving their problem. And for me, it is very important because I have been that end user. So I come from a front office user who was checking in patients and checking out patients to being a practice manager across multiple locations and multi-specialty groups to be a RCM consultant. So I have been wearing these hats throughout these stages in life. And today where I am, I can understand the challenge, and this is what I see. I can help translate this gap to the technology team to say, yes, this is a great thought, but the end users will require to understand this. So that's how we work.
Yeah, absolutely. So fascinating. And to come from having been a user of this healthcare technology to then developing it at such a high scale is pretty fantastic and so interesting. And so what were some of the challenges when you were using technology on the other side that you keep in mind all the time, where it just frustrated you to no end?
So a very good question. And this is a part of the exercise. Like, I also help entities understand whether it is somebody from our company or if I'm doing like a talk through the chapter meets, that when we are the end user of the solution, the most important thing we need is flexibility. So yes, today I need to put my date of service in for this patient, but tomorrow I might also need an end date of service. Or today I'm running this report, but tomorrow I would need additional report. Or there might be needs to constantly have different changes as I'm growing, as my practice is growing, as my organization is growing. For that slightest change, it was such a big hassle to even get somebody on the line to get help. Like, you would not know, where do I go from here? Or if you want to run a custom report, you have to open a ticket with the vendor. That vendor is going to contact you back. You have to wait for that vendor to actually put in that button, that feature. So then you can run your report. And again, a slightest change would make you go through that process again. So for me, when I'm designing, defining, and working with the teams, it is very important to give that power in the hand of the end users, where there are minimum requirements for them to be coming to us for any changes, and they can make those changes, modification, customization at their end.
Absolutely. That makes sense. And also with healthcare, that's probably why some of the big guys, when they come into healthcare, they think they can just do value-based care. They think they can just figure it all out. And it's like, no, you need to know this persona and have worked as that persona to understand how flexible you need to be and all of the different use cases that they could potentially need to get their job done well.
Right. And I think that's why, like, the first step we talk about when we are doing a demo of our platform, or when we're talking about capabilities that we have, or as we're doing the demos, there are folks who ask us, can you also highlight the differentiators? Because we want to know, how do you do things different from what's out there? So it's very exciting when we start the process to say, we give you so much flexibility that if your business has 3 different sub-business categories, you don't have to constantly change things. You can just tell us, this is going to be a payer organization, this is my risk-bearing entity, and these are my participating providers, and you can onboard them. You can say, I don't have a payer, I just have a risk-bearing entity and participating providers, you can onboard them. So you have the flexibility to have anywhere from fee-for-service to value-based care programs onboarded at the same time on the same platform.
Wow, that is so cool. If you had to predict how the role of coders and the broader health tech landscape will look like 10 years from now, with your experience of AI and coding and the work that you're doing in value-based care and beyond, what do you see this world evolving to be and to become? Where do you see the innovations really coming in and making an impact? And I would love to hear like technologies themselves, but also industry trends as well.
Sure. So I feel it will evolve and it will grow in a very positive way from the coding perspective, how things are changing and AI is playing a part in this, and how the industry trends will follow this new evolving industry. I see it'll be a lot more efficient in the sense there are different areas when you have to focus. So you have to focus on patient outcomes. You have to focus on employee incentivization. You have to focus on organization growth and revenue generation. So all of this taken into consideration, the one thing that ties this together is when you are submitting and when you are filing the claims, or when you are coding and your billing team or revenue cycle team is putting all this together, the amount of time it takes to put this all together, to submit it where there are minimum errors, and also not just from the provider side, but the payer side, to have AI support them in a quick adjudication process where they can support multiple programs for adjudication. So they're not only looking at fee-for-service claims, but they might look at bundles or episode of care claims. So they might look at a maternity bundle, they might look at an orthopedic bundle for a knee replacement. How can AI help them create those adjudication programs in an expedited way with less errors, more efficiency, so that all parties are winning at the same time? And then ultimately it's the patient who's getting the care. So they don't have those outstanding balances where they're fighting battles between the payer paying for the services because it should be a covered service, the provider struggling to get the revenue in because they want to get the services that they have provided paid. So everybody is struggling in their own world. So this, I feel, will evolve the industry with more efficiency, more accuracy, and more timely payments where practice growth is not impacted. the payers will have a successful insight on industries where they can see how the provider is performing. So quality of care for their members. And then as a member, I know I don't have to deal along with my health issues, these financial impacts that constantly are a trouble. So coming again from the provider side, I can understand the challenges where even a $20 copay or a $1,000 deductible can be a hassle when you are actually going through a surgery. So these all trends from everybody's perspective, which stakeholder we're looking at and persona we're looking at, will be a win. So that's how I see.
Fascinating, fascinating. Now, my listeners love to hear about trends that are going on in the industry and learning more about it, but they also love to learn about women leaders and their paths and their learnings. I know you have been an advocate and a mentor for women in STEAM fields. Can you share a story about how mentorship has shaped your own journey and how you now inspire the next generation of women technologists?
Great question. And this is something that I really enjoy doing. And I have been blessed to have mentors in my life as well. So like I was mentioning earlier, my career started from a front office user in a practice and all the way to an RCM consultant. And then it was a big shift from being an RCM consultant to moving into the healthcare IT side of it. So I had no idea about technology. I had no idea about what a product team does. The idea I brought in was all my experience from the provider world. So when I have been through multiple different organizations where I had led teams that had women employees, and I have always motivated them to find a career path across multiple teams where they fit the best. So I know I've been hired to do a certain job, but I might be interested and I see people doing maybe design work, and this is something I would enjoy doing. So in my current role, I have employees that have come to me from operations and said, I really want to be a part of the product team. And I welcome that, because when you know you would enjoy something, your work will actually show. So I mentor and tell them that their chapter meets, there are courses online, there are books that you can read, the industry trends that you can keep up with, and there are subject matter expertise out there that you can learn and grow from. So even for me, a constant evolving exercise is to keep up with the industry trends. I know this is how the world functions, the healthcare industry functions, but I want to keep up with the changes. So it is very important for you to be out there creating networks. So you want to create a network where you are constantly learning from different challenges. We have focus group network. We have feedback group network that come from the provider space, whether it is automating of referral process, whether it is revenue cycle related constant work group sessions. So you have to be a part of certain groups to understand. But for me, the biggest impact is that I have had the chance to go from each step within the provider workflow to come to the payer side, design solutions that have payment overlap from a patient's perspective, like payer reimbursement as well as provider payments. I had this journey and I want people to experience that as well, who are looking for a change, who are looking for a career growth. I would mentor, and I have had billing team members who are now professors at Emory University. So it's a fascinating world where you really want to motivate people to say, yes, I have provider world experience, I have a payer world experience, but I want to combine technology, and this is the output I would get. So this is how I mentor and I coach people who want to see. I had a doctor that I was visiting, and they were like, I work with data sets from a patient all the time. I want a career change. I want to do something different than just being a doctor. And I was like, you have such a powerful mindset, you have such a powerful data set with you that you can actually learn how to create multiple reports. You can actually see the patient outcome overview from your population that you cater to. So there are different ways you can talk to people, but keeping up with the industry trends, participating in chapter meets, this is what I have followed and I would advise women to be doing.
You are so generous with your wisdom and support. That is incredible. And it should be an inspiration to us as well. Like, guys, let's ask to be mentored, but let's mentor when we're ready, when we're there. And when are you ready? Today. You have something to teach somebody to the side of you. So think about ways that you can help others grow in their careers. I'm wondering, what leadership lessons have you learned in bridging technology, business, healthcare? What kind of legacy do you hope to leave for those entering the field today?
I have healthcare knowledge that I bring into the organization I'm currently at, HSBlox. I have team members who bring in a lot of technology knowledge together. I see myself bridging these gaps because I can actually start a process bringing all these different stakeholders together, whether it's strategy. So what is our strategy to deliver? What is sales and marketing pitch going to be? What is the ROI looking? What is the finance team responsible for? How's the development team going to be working on this particular design? And how does the product team need to help them? I feel even before we start learning on how we're defining the solution, we need to understand what does the industry look like. So what does the payer do in this? The payer actually receives the claims data. Okay, and then what will they generate back? They will give us back the 835 or the reimbursement data. So for me, bridging that gap to help the teams understand what does this flow overall look like that we're trying to build. It's easy to say, yes, we're building a platform to support a VBC program. What does VBC stand for? What are we doing? Like, what is this VBC? Is it like a bundled payment solution that we're defining like we did? You have to help the team understand all the little nuances, all the little challenges, all the exciting stuff, so you can actually bring in their knowledge as well. So they can provide and say, if you're defining this problem, then this is the solution that would work best. So this is what I have learned through the years, that for all team members to come in, whether they are a database expert or they work on the analytics side, they can bring in those tool sets to say, this is the business need and this is the requirement that you have. But like you've explained, the overall view of the industry challenges, this is the solution that we're providing. So I think that's how we bridge the gap between different stakeholders, bringing them together in one room, talking about what is this program about. We start with the basis, like, okay, this is what a BBC program looks like. What are we trying to do here? And all of that together then leads to this exciting product and an experience working together and collaborating with different team members.
Absolutely. As you think about your early career, what is one piece of advice you would give your younger self as you're thinking about diving into work, you're kind of starting to go through the ranks? What do you wish you could have told her?
I would have told her not to be scared to try. Like, I had this really big inhibition because I have not been a technologist, for example. I was like, I can't do this. You cannot tell yourself, I can't. You have to always remind yourself, I want to, I should, I will. Because if I can do it, somebody else can do it too. And if somebody else can do it, we all can do it. So I believe that back then, and it was a very big advice that I got when I was an office manager and I was making this transition into the healthcare IT world. I was like, I don't know anything about this field. I am really scared. And they're like, until you try, you will not know. I mean, worst come worst, you'll fail, but you have to give it a try. So I would tell, if I was to tell this to my younger self, I would say, like, definitely, like, just go for it, because sometimes the world is so exciting out there that you will fit right in. But unless you try, you would not know.
You hear that, guys? You can do it. You can do it. If she can do it, you can do it. I love that. So to finish this conversation off right, where can our listeners find you online?
The listeners can find me online on LinkedIn. So I'm actively participating in any questions they have, career-oriented, industry-oriented, or if they want to learn more about HSBlox platform and company, I'm available, and they can also reach me on an email.
Terrific. Now, before I forget, did you happen to bring tea with you today? And if so, tell me about your mug. Do you have a personal story around it?
I do. So this mug has an engraving on it, which you can't really see, but it says triple dirty chai. So that's the chai I always get from Starbucks. It has 3 shots of espresso.
Oh! I think they call that a red eye, right? When you add the espresso into something else, but it's fantastic. Triple dirty chai. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It was great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Grace. I had a really good time. Thank you.
And thanks to you folks for joining us too. Check out the HITea With Grace podcast website for more great interviews with great guests like Deepti today. Cheers.
Cheers.
Like a Girl Media is more than a media network. It's a community. We want to meet you and amplify your voice and the voices of outstanding women innovating in healthcare. Interested in starting your own podcast or hosting an event near you? Connect with us online or in person. We're here to support and empower you.